All right, I am going to make some very basic Minesweeper strategy videos to start. This is designed for people who technically already know how to play Minesweeper, but might not have any idea of how to do it without spending 4 minutes per click. So this will show you some very basic ways to speed up your playing, starting from the very beginning. So here we have one of the simplest patterns, probably the simplest pattern to recognize, which is when you see a 1 like this off of kind of a corner, like where that is, you see that all of these are uncovered squares, and then it just has that 1 touching any of them off on this C. I call that a 1 being on a corner, and obviously that one is going to be a mine. If you think about it, you can just look at this 1 square here, and that's not a mine, that's not a mine, that's not a mine. Ignore that recording. That's not a mine, that's not a mine, that's not a mine, and that's not a mine. That's not a mine, and that's not a mine. The only square it's touching that isn't already uncovered, these ones, is that one. So it has to be the mine. Now, you could get confused because if you're looking at this one or that one, you know, they're touching multiple squares up here, but focus on that one that's just floating in the corner. And that will tell you, very simply, that that one's going to be a mine. Now, quickly, do you see the other situation that's the same as this? There's another 1 on a corner. Hopefully you saw it right there. Again, there's this 1, and none of these are mines, we know, because they're all uncovered, and that one is. It's the only one it's touching. The 1 is just sitting diagonally off on the corner here. Pay no attention to the 2, to the 3 that are touching all of these, this 2 down here that's touching 4. You just see that 1 on the corner, bam, you know that's a mine. So that's the first and I think easiest pattern to recognize. It's very key. Okay, so the next pattern to notice, I think, the next easiest, is what happens with this 2 here at the top of the screen. This 2 is up against a wall over here, the edge of the board. Obviously there's nothing up there, and it's got nothing on its left side or right below it. It's just touching these 2 squares right here. So obviously if you thought about that focusing on this 2, you would immediately recognize that those 2 are mines. But rather than having to think about it consciously, just notice a 2 sitting on a wall. This is kind of the wall on the edge of a board, like this. Now this 2 is also on this wall, but it's not at the edge of the board. It's touching 3. So you don't know off the top of your head at initial analysis which 2 of these 3 are going to be mines. But with this one at the edge of the board against a wall, you know immediately that those 2 will be mines. So that's a pretty easy one to learn and should be something that you just recognize without really even thinking about it. And quick recap, we have another 1 on a corner, hopefully you noticed. Very easy to recognize. That one there, it's a mine. All right, now I'm going to show you 2 simple patterns to recognize with a 3. Again, we've got the 1s here with their red on the corner here. You don't need to worry about that 1 or that 2 or this 1 here. You just see a 1 there on the corner. Don't be confused because it has some over here. It's a 1 on a corner, so that one's a mine. And easily, we also see that that one, surrounded by 1s, has these 1s on the corner, and even that 1 just touching the 1. Obviously, that's a mine. And from the last lesson, you should notice that the 2 here on the edge against a wall, don't be confused because it's not vertical like the last one, but same thing rotated. Those 2 have to be mines. You just see that 2 on a wall on the edge of the board, and automatically you just tap those 2. You don't need to think hard about like, all right, this one's touching 2 and that one's touching, no. All right. So now we're going to talk about 1-3 pattern here. This 3 here is just sitting against a little corner of squares, and obviously those are the only 3 squares it's touching. It's a 3, so all 3 have to be mines. But the point again is you should just see a red 3 and a little trio corner of mines here and just immediately plug in, oh, that 3, all 3 of those are mines. So that's pretty simple. And then one more 3 strategy coming up, and then we'll be done. And now we have our last very simple pattern to recognize from the basics. You will not uncommonly see a 3 just right up against a flat wall like this. Similar to that where you saw a 3 nestled in a corner, when it's up against a flat wall, all 3 of those are going to be mines. Again, if you think about it, not that complicated because this 3 here is only touching these 3 squares so that are uncovered. So obviously they all have to be mines. But again, point is, when you see this screen, things that should immediately jump out at you are, oh, there's a 1 on a corner, bam. Here's a 3 on a flat wall, bam, we're good. And now you're off and running. That 1 is touching a mine, yada yada. You can open that one, etc. Oh, here we have a 3 in a corner. You're going. You're doing well. That's the first step to speeding yourself up, is just recognizing simple patterns that you don't have to think about anymore or analyze. The 1 on the corner, 2's up against a flat wall on the edge of a board. And pro tip, this one is similar to that idea. You can consider the edge of the board to be all of these uncovered squares. So that too means that both of these have to be mines. But don't let that blow your mind. If you need to, just think of it as being up against the actual edge of the board. But 2 against a flat wall on the edge of a board, or virtual edge of the board, means that the only 2 it's touching on the flat wall are mines. And then with the 3, you have a 3 on a flat wall, all of those are mines, or a 3 in a corner, all of those are mines. You just recognize all of those things, and here we have, what's that, 5 of the 10 mines already cleared off, and we're off to the races. So hopefully that all helps. Again, that's a very beginning strategy. I'll have a little bit more advanced ones so that you can keep getting better.